plants, right? And the last one is it not too much? In an American society, for sure, that's a very skewed number, right? So, or it's a very skewed idea. So at one time when we were back in 80 years ago, plates were like this size. Over time, the plate moved this size. Now the current normal plate is that size, right? You guys ever gone out for like a Chinese dinner, and that thing is like the biggest plate in the world, and it is just pounded full. Same thing with Italian, right? Italian just loaded plates up. That's not normal serving sizes. You're literally eating like a 4-person meal at that one meal. So we have to start figuring out, like this is really where our plate should be in this category right here, right? So we have to start looking at our plate, how much of the plate is actually full. If you go out to a nice 5-star restaurant or whatever stars are out there for restaurants, plates don't have a lot of food on them. Oh my God, what am I paying for? I mean, you're not paying for a healthier meal. You're paying for the fact that they're portioning it the size it should be. Most other countries, that's the size of the plates that they have. That's what they're actually making for foods. The ones that you're gorging yourself, a buffet, like those are places that we probably should get rid of because the buffet is completely against our why. Our why is not to be full and gorge. Our why is to achieve fat loss. So we have to start reconceptualizing, revisualizing how we think about food, right? Another category I'd like to put into that one there is wine. And beer. Beer would be another good one. So I want to show you guys this real quick. So here is the average wine glass that people drink from, right? Here's a serving size of wine glass. 3 ounces. This thing can hold 12 ounces. So inside of that, now not everybody fills it completely to the brim, but they're probably at least here, right? Most people probably higher, but about there. So every time somebody's drinking a glass of wine, they're probably drinking at least 2, if not 3 servings of that. Same thing for beer, right? So we have our beer. I'm a pretty good artist, if you're not noticing. So we have our beer here, right? So a serving size of beer, especially like Titan to example, they're big beer. An actual serving size is actually a little bit less than a can of beer. So a can is usually a smaller serving size. A serving size of a beer is actually 8 ounces. So that kind of tells you already, every single time in America we're making certain choices on things, we're always instantly overdoing our serving size. So we have to find ways to reduce those serving sizes. All right, so the different pillars, the different habits per pillar. So one thing nutritionally, if you drink your water every single day, half your body weight in ounces, instantly you'll feel better. Your skin's fuller, meaning like you're hydrated a ton. You're a lot less hungry for cravings because water eliminates cravings. Our body is pretty awesome. It makes cravings based on things it wants. And one of the best ways for it to know that it's going to get water is to ask for like sugars. Because the reason it asks for sugars is it wants fruit. Fruit has a ton of water in it. It's saying you can't get water from somewhere else. You must not be able to get water wherever you're at. You may be in a desert. And your body's like, we're in a desert, so I need to find a way to get you some more water. Because you're ignoring my hints that I need water. What should I do? Okay, I know if you probably have fruit. I can get fruit. Increase those sugar cravings, and boom, we have some sugar, and now we have our water intake. But what we do, we take that things like, oh my God, I need a candy bar. My body was asking for fruit. So the idea is keeping our water levels full actually helps reduce those cravings. Keystone habit. Protein at every meal. We talked about for fat loss is important because it keeps that steady across the board. This one is on your guys' sheet on the back side if you're not sure. 5 servings of fruits and vegetables per day. So fruits and or vegetables. So I'm not asking for 5 of each. I'm asking for either or. If you love vegetables, do vegetables. If you love fruits, do fruits. Combo of the 2 is great as well, right? Either way, you do 5 servings of fruits a day. I'll explain to you in a minute why I think that's actually a valuable thing. I do want some vegetables in a day, but I don't think it has to be where it used to be all vegetables. One thing for now. Exercise. You need to work out resistance training, so strength training 3 times a week. And you need to get at least 30 minutes walking, some type of exercise at a time. You need to get 3 of those a week. You need to get about 6 days of movement. And on the 7th day, when they say rest, right, the idea of rest, it doesn't mean just sitting on a couch for an entire day, because your metabolism goes super low. What it means is just like, let's go to the aquarium for the day. Let's go do something that's with my family. I don't have to focus on it being exercise, but I am moving, right? We're getting out, we're moving about. It's not sitting and being lazy all day. It's called active recovery, right? You want active recovery. Stress management. I was trying to think of good ways to be able to handle the mindset side of things. These are 2 things that I found over my life that do a really good job. First thing is 10 deep breaths. So whenever you're in a situation that you feel super stressed out, you have to take your sympathetic nervous system and turn it into parasympathetic. Which means sympathetic nervous system is fight or flight. Like, I'm like I'm mad, I'm upset, I'm stressed, and the things are worrying me. Like I'm on that fight side of things. I need to take myself down and pull that back down, right? So conceptually, what we do is 10 deep breaths. So breath is a 4-second inhale, 4-second hold, 4-second exhale, 4-second hold. It's called a box breathing. You do 4 seconds all the way around the box. You do that for 10 total breaths, and that takes, I don't know, about a minute or so. But man, instantly you're all of a sudden like, oh. That's an instant way to bring stress levels down in a second. We call it box breathing, 4 seconds. In the military, it comes from the military, the Navy SEALs are the ones that really come with box breathing. There's tons of breathing strategies out there. That's just the one that I found the most conceptual people can remember really easy. 4 seconds to do that. And then write 2 daily gratitudes. Gratitudes are really, really cool because the gratitude just tells you what you appreciate for the day. And I think a lot of us kind of like forget to appreciate life in general. I guarantee when you get done with today, all of you are going to be able to say 2 things that you're really thankful today. One is you're going to be thankful that you're up at the seminar, right? One thing you're thankful. And 2, you're going to be thankful that Erica made you some amazing protein balls for you. So you have 2 things to be grateful for today. Every single day you should go find 2 protein balls, realistically, right? Really think about that. Because the more you think about that, right? The more you think about that gratefulness, you start to realize life is pretty awesome. And it's not nearly as stressful as I think it is. We create it way more stressful. Oh man, it's been a rough day. But I spent a whole day with amazing people. I might hate my boss, but I love my coworkers, right? You know, that's the idea. Things can be really amazing if you take a choice to do it. This is controlling the mindset. The more we can control our mindset, the better chance we have to win every single day. Lifestyle. Some of the best lifestyle factors I found is meal planning. Making it part of your life to make sure that meal planning, it can be put in the nutrition category as well. I think it's really lifestyle. You have to set up your life to meal plan. Now this isn't meal prepping. So meal prepping is where you make the food. Meal planning is planning the whole week of what I'm going to do. The reason I say it's a lifestyle is you can plan out eating out. I just have to make a choice on Thursday. I'm going to go to, like your kids has a ball game, right? We have a ball game. I know that ahead of time. You don't want your schedule your kids have a ball game. So we're going to choose to eat at Chipotle instead of eating at Five Guys. I put that in, I planned my meal. I stuck to it, and now all of a sudden I can create a consistent routine to follow my meal plan. That's why I call it a lifestyle. And part of your lifestyle is meal planning, knowing, shoot, it comes back to mindset. So I'm making choices on how I want to live my life. I think a lot of people let life throw them wherever it goes, or they make certain choices that they think they don't have control, but they really do. But you really do get to choose all the choices in life. You can choose not to work the job that you choose. You can choose to not have kids or whatever the equation is, right? You can choose all those things. However, it is a choice, and you just gotta be willing to control it. And then reduce eating out to 1 time a week. I think that's a big one. I would love to say less than that, but in this, realistically, I think asking for less than that's pretty tough to ask for. But if I can say 1 time a week and making that a good choice of what you're eating out, like I'm gonna eat healthy. I don't know why everybody always chooses to eat like crap when they eat out. Because you have like the best people cooking for you. They cook better than you, no offense to anybody that's a good cook. But most likely, whoever you're eating out with cooks better than you. Right? If you're going to a restaurant, especially like a Fleming Steakhouse, or you're going to a Char House, they make better steaks than you do. Why wouldn't you eat like the really quality food that they make? Like, oh, I don't like vegetables. Eating out, they make vegetables really good. Why wouldn't I choose to eat healthy when I eat out? Because realistically, that food's going to taste delicious. It's the one time you're going to get somebody professionally to cook it, right? So it's a good chance to be able to do that. Eating out, try to be healthy if you want. And then sleep. My real keystone habit that I have for that is eating 7+ hours, staying in bed 7+ hours, right? So conceptually, like, I need to go to bed 7 hours before my alarms go off in the morning, right? So if I wake up at 6, I need to be in bed by 11. I have to crawl into bed by 11 to wake up at 6. I don't think that's that hard to do, to be in bed. I'm not asking you to sleep for 7 hours. Some of you might take 45 minutes to fall asleep, 30 minutes to fall asleep, some of you might fall asleep instantly. However, like, you should be able to be in bed 7 hours before you go to bed. And if you have to kind of audit your life to see what are the things that are causing me not to go to bed early. Realistically, it's Netflix, it's Instagram, it's sports, right? Sports are there, right? You can choose. You can see ESPN tomorrow. ESPN's still there tomorrow. I'll give myself credit this year. I give it up sports. I follow ESPN every day, but I haven't watched a single sporting event this year. And so because my goals are way bigger than watching sports. Because sports change the way I have to live my lifestyle, and I'm not willing to change my lifestyle. But my goals are more important than that. However, doesn't mean I don't know what's going on in the sports world. But I've chosen I can get it now because of the way sports are done. I can rewatch it anytime I want. I can do that during the day. I don't have to stay up at night and watch it. So, but in terms of that, so these are the keystone habits. So meaning if you underline it, you have these things all part of your lifestyle. I showed you a plan on how to put all these keystone habits into your life. I'm not expecting you to put all these in right away. I showed you a plan on how to put these into your life. However, these are the things that after they become part of your life, they never go away. Never go away. You always have to have these things consistently to sustain results over a long period of time. Consistency over time equals amazing transformation. So here is one of the two secrets that I have today. Secret you know, but a secret nobody follows. Consistency. What's the key to every single program we talked about a little while ago? Anything followed consistently well works. The perfect plan, never followed, doesn't do anything. Bad plan, consistently followed, works. That's all that really matters is consistency. But none of us can commit to something long enough to actually achieve it. And we have to be consistent over time. Consistent for 3 weeks is not enough. Consistent for a year is amazing. Consistent for 6 months is really good comparable to the average person. Consistency over time creates amazing transformations. So this is why we're going to do a quick, if you want to, you don't have to do this part, but if you want to do the calculations for exactly how, to figure out how much calories you're supposed to eat in a day. If you have your phone, you can do it here. Otherwise, you can do it later on. You have all this stuff on your thing. So what we need to do is, I need your body fat percentage from your in-body scan. So if you haven't gotten your in-body scan yet, you can get it later. If you have the in-body app, it's on the app. If you have the sheet of paper, it's like the 5th one down or something, okay? So please grab that body fat percentage and write it down on your sheet of paper. And then from there, you'll go to your camera on your phone, if you have a phone with you. You go to your camera and you'll scan that QR code. So when you put your camera over top of that QR code, here, when you put your camera right over top of it, it'll say, do you want me to take you to this website? Click that, right? If you can't do it, because sometimes our Wi-Fi sucks, or our internet sucks in here, like, if you can't do it, totally fine, you can do this later on. I have it all laid out for you to do it. However, like, that's what you should scan it. And it's going to go through and give you the calculations for how many calories you should have today. When you fill it out, I want you to choose the light activity setting. So when you go through there, it's like, how much are you active? I work out 3 days a week. I don't care what your lifestyle is, please just choose the light activity one. This is for fat loss. The other things are more important for other things. I just want that light activity pattern. And on that website, they have plus settings. You just want to switch that formula to the Catch Ricardo method, right? And then it's going to ask you to put your body fat percentages there. So I'll give anybody that's doing it a second, ask me any questions. If you're not doing it, you can just totally find a minute later.
When you say light exercise, is one that says a little bit of exercise or just
Exercise, oh yeah, it does say that. So exercise would be 1 to 3 times a week. Exercise would be 1 to 3 times a week, guys. Sorry, the app doesn't show like it does on the TV.
Percent body fat, is that what you're looking at?
Yeah, that one right there. That's the one you use. So if you're on your phone, it probably says light exercise is the category I'm talking about. So it'd be little to like 1 to 3 exercise workouts a week. And that should give you, once you put the Ricardo formula in, and you put your body fat percentage in, hit calculate. And then when it should pull you up like a little graph, not graph, but what's it called? Table, right? And so the table should be the one you're choosing, and the one that says 1 time or 1 pound per week. Does everybody see that? Now write that, if you have it, write that number down on your thing so you have it. I didn't put a category for that, but just write it somewhere on your sheet of paper. If anybody needs a pen, I'll give you that. So write that number down. Okay, so everybody has that number. Now what we're going to do is if you have MyFitnessPal downloaded, you can go ahead and do this in that, or if you use a different app, I don't know anything about other apps except for MyFitnessPal, but you can do this. I'll show you MyFitnessPal how to actually set this up in a tracker so that if you wanted to start tracking your food, this will give you the right setup to be able to achieve fat loss. So when you're inside, download it. What you want to go to inside of the app, MyFitnessPal app, is go to goals. So on Android, there's like 3 little things up in the corner. You click that, it has goals. On Apple, I think it's on the bottom of things. You can do that and you find down there, okay? So find goals. Raise your hand if you have trouble finding that, if you're trying to find it. And then when you're in that goals, click on the calorie, carb, protein, and fat goals. There's like a little category that says those things. Click those. Yeah, if you guys need glasses, I'll come over and do it. It's pretty good. So you want to click on, inside the goals, you want to click on the calorie, carb, protein, and fat goals. Yeah, it should be a free option. Yep, there you go. Yep, you're right. You're good there. Okay.
I was lost in the
Yeah, no, you're good. I can do it for you. So then inside of there, what you're going to do, so when you're inside of there, you just got your calorie number, okay? So that number you just wrote down on your piece of paper, put that in the calories on it. So you're inside there, put that as your calories. That calorie thing is 1 pound of fat loss a week is what that goal is. So put that one in there for me. And then you're going to go through the macros. So the macros are those next 3 things, which are protein, carbs, and fats. Carbohydrates are going to be 40, protein 30, fats 30, okay? Make sure you're looking at that, make sure you're putting carbohydrates in the 40, 30, 30, okay? That, in my mind, is the ideal combination for fat loss and micronutrient density, okay? So go ahead and put those in for me. If you need to do it later, I have all this stuff, all that stuff should be on the sheet. If not, just send me an email and I'll show you how to do it, okay? But yeah, please put those in, and once you have those, I think there's a save button or something, like, just make sure you say that as your goal, okay? Where's my phone?
It's there.
Okay, so then when you go into there, then you go to your diary, right? So the diary, if you use MyFitnessPal, that's where you put your food in. When you go into the diary, that's where you're going to actually track your food throughout the day. And here's a hidden secret on there, is if you take your phone from vertical and turn it horizontal for me, it will actually show your macros which you need to hit at the bottom of that page. Vertically, it won't show you. When you turn it horizontally, it'll actually show your macros at the bottom of the page. You'll scroll down and it'll show where you are. Your goal is to try to get those macros within those numbers, right? Or I'm hitting the right amount of carbs, right amount of proteins, right amount of fats. So that's pretty advanced work, but I want to make sure you guys leave here with an actual advanced kind of thing for this to be able to do it. Anybody have any questions that I can come around and show them? Do you understand that? Turn it horizontal, you can see it?
I use it.
Okay, good. Yeah. Please go back. Oh, no, no. Check mark. There, you're good. Yep. Okay, and then yeah, if you're on the diary, and you turn it to the side, it's cool. It's funny, I did MyFitnessPal for years, and never knew if I turned it sideways on my phone, that all of my macros and stuff were right there, right? Which is like, they make you pay for that otherwise, but when you turn it sideways, it's free, so it's kind of funny. Okay, so, this is important, another thing to think about when you're doing, so MyFitnessPal on the basic side of things, you just type in the food that you have. The cool part is almost everything you put a barcode scanner to and it puts it instantly in there. If that's a barcode scanner, you just click it, you put the little barcodes in it, and it puts it right in there, okay? So that's really awesome about MyFitnessPal. That's why I love MyFitnessPal, because all things are barcode scanner coded. However, serving size is really, people don't really know serving sizes. So a big picture idea is actually you have a food scale, scale at home where you just put your food on top of it. And it's not a normal scale, you actually buy a food scale because they're bought by a food scale. It's funny how many people have never heard of a food scale. So a food scale, you buy it, you put your food on top of that, and you actually measure how much food, if it's in grams or whatever the serving size is. It's really important to know that, because once you start to track that stuff over time, you'll get a really good idea what a serving of cheese is, or that, and then you'll start to see that, oh, that's a serving of cheese. Like, I don't always measure all my food anymore, because I know I've used those food so many times, I know roughly when I grab this much food out, that's about 28 grams of cheese, right? So you start to get to know those. So it's like a practice over time to help you understand portion control, and trying to hit those things is really good for fat loss. Remember, all keystone habits are important, and put them all into play. So the idea is all those keystone habits, so let's say for Alex, one of the tough ones is maybe going to bed on time, right? Maybe that's one of your later keystone habits. Maybe you work on all the other things, getting them really good, and then I'm really good at these things, and now I'll start to attack sleep as I go along. Maybe you're really lucky, and you don't have to do that one to achieve your goals. However, I think in the long run, every single chink in your armor, in a sense, of the keystone habits will come back to bite you eventually. I'll be like, oh yeah, eventually if you don't have enough sleep, it will catch up to you, and all of a sudden you'll start to get hindered in other ways, okay? So here's my fat loss equation. Pretty simple. Keystone habits plus calorie restriction, this is on your sheet already, plus calorie restriction, which you just did in MyFitnessPal, is calorie restriction, right? Plus consistency, secret, right? And here's my other secret. Plus a dash of obsession equals transformation. So obsession is a very powerful word and a very scary word at the same time. Obsession is what leads people to eating disorders. Obsessions. That's why I say a dash of obsession. But it's very important, like I said, it can't be in moderation either. Moderation, we have to be in that strict focus, aiming for my goals, achieve those goals, then start to maintain and create moderation. Well, if we have 40 pounds to lose, we have to be locked in for a long period of time. I have 10 pounds to lose, I have to still be locked in for a long time. Regardless of whether anybody's ever told you, the last 4 or 5 pounds is way harder than the first 15 pounds. I don't know a single person that's not 4 or 5 pounds away from their goal that doesn't find it harder than the first weight. Because the first 10 pounds, they had to just make little changes. The last 4 or 5 pounds, they've had to make drastic changes to their lifestyle. So if you don't have a lot of weight to lose, you have to dial in even harder than the person that has 40 pounds to lose. Because we can slowly start cheating that away. Those last 4 or 5 pounds, you gotta be locked in tight, right? So in terms of that, like we have, no matter what our goal is, how much we have to have a dash of obsession to achieve that. And I do think that's secret. That's something that people don't realize. They think they're just gonna get it by being just kind of like half-assing their way through it. You can't half-ass your way through it. I think a lot of our clients, no offense to anybody here, but a lot of our clients do think they're just showing up to GCP 3 days a week. It's really good for health. It's really good for making you healthy, strong, your body feels great, you're moving well. You're probably gonna sustain where you're at for the rest of your life. But the people that really want results, they need to become slightly obsessive. They need to become a little bit more focused, they need to become dialed in. They need to say, hey, I am willing to do a little bit extra than anybody else is. That's how you're gonna achieve it. And that's that slight obsession. Slight obsession is needed to create massive change. I'm gonna keep going back to that. Like, again, the word obsession is a great word, it's a scary word at the same time. But don't become over obsessive, and we can talk about that if you're somebody that has a tendency to get overly obsessive about things. But like the obsession idea is just like, I want to be dialed in. It's just focus. It's another word for focus, right? It's just like, I want to think about it. So I'm talking about mine all the time. I want to make my choices. Every single time I go to make a choice, I'm like, okay, my why, when we start at the very beginning, is so much bigger than whatever that is, that I'm okay with being obsessed with. Somebody's like, oh, you're kind of obsessed with this goal. Oh, thank you. Awesome. I appreciate that. That means that I'm focused and you're not focused. I'm willing to achieve what I want to do, and you're willing to just say it and talk about it, but you're not really willing to put the work in. I'm willing to put the work in. That's where obsession comes in. I'm willing to do the work. So here's my fat loss tips. These are things that like I think a lot of people don't really think about. So I think weighing daily is awesome. If you're somebody that can handle seeing your weight every day. So this is not for everybody. But if you are somebody that's going to weigh every single day, the reason I say it's awesome is you have to write it down every single day. But what it allows you to do is actually see how much you really do weigh. So the weight that you weigh in today and the weight you weigh in 7 days from now, neither of those are your weights. That's not how much you weigh. Either of those two are not how much you weigh. Up, divided by 7, so your average of those 7 days, that's how much weight you actually weigh. Your highs and lows don't matter. It's actually how much you weigh. So the cool part about that I love about it, is if you weigh yourself every day, you actually average that number out, and you go from week to week. Let's say, so I weigh on Sundays, and my final weight would be Saturdays. Sunday morning, I do my calculation for how much I weighed that week. The next week, I might weigh, so let's say it's called 260. The next week might be 258. So I lost 2 pounds right now. However, if you're just weighing every day during the week, you might see 261 one day, and you'll see 256. Well, you think you weigh 256 now, but realistically, you just had a really low hydration day, some of that. You're actually weighing realistically 259. But you're like, now the next day you weigh 260, like, oh my God, I gained 5 pounds a day or 4 pounds a day, and you start to freak out about that. That's mental. That's completely skewing your mental capacity. You're really messing with yourself. But if you're writing those down every day and you take the average of those, you can actually see change. So if all of a sudden I weigh, the average of this week is 260 and the average of next week is 262, I probably did gain 2 pounds. Because that average number mattered. This really makes a difference, especially for females, especially going through hormonal cycles, PMS, period, and all that kind of stuff. It allows you to actually see when you get your period, those numbers are higher, and they come back down, you'll actually still come up with a pretty average number by the end of the week, or depending on how long your cycle lasts. Those are very important to know as you start to track that throughout the year. Now, if you're somebody that weight just really freaks you out and gets you in a bad mental side, please do not weigh. Just don't weigh. Worry about the body, that's okay. But don't be somebody that's doing either or. I mean, I know people like, oh, the weight freaks me out, but I still weigh every day, I still write it down. You're screwing yourself up way more than I'm talking about. I'm talking about actually measuring what it is. Don't ever step on the scale or write it down if you step on the scale, right? One of the two. Don't do kind of in between. That can be once a week. I just write it down once a week. That's okay. But you have to write that number down because you start to skew what that number is over time. No cheat meals. So I truly like this. So this is something that's new to really me and Nate talking about this. And it's just the idea is what is a cheat meal? And really conceptually think about what a cheat meal is. A cheat meal means I give up today. I give up on this meal. I'm just going to do whatever I want. I'm not saying you can't eat out. We just talked about eating out. You can eat out amazing. You can have the best tasting meal you've ever had eating out, and it can be really healthy. I'm not saying no eating out. I'm just saying let's not go hit Panda Express and load up the triple entree on that thing and just gorge myself because I give up for the day and I'm just going to hound it out. Realistically, regardless of what your goals are, that's not healthy. That's not good for you. That's an obsession mentality right there. We should never put ourselves in that category. You guys go into coma, like a food coma after that. Your day's ruined. Everything's destroyed. You feel horrible for 2 days after that. Like the idea of a cheat meal is something that's not planned, and you're just going to gorge yourself, go crazy, right? Unless you're The Rock, so Dwayne Johnson, unless you're him, nobody else should have cheat meals. The guy works his butt off to achieve that cheat meal a week. No offense, we're not going to work out twice a day, crazy 1.5 hour workouts, 3 hours a day of working out to achieve that cheat meal. None of the rest of us are doing that, so we shouldn't compare ourselves to his crazy cheat meals. Everybody else shouldn't really have cheat meals, but you can eat out, you can make good choices. It's just the cheat meal idea of just like blowing things up and doing whatever I want, that's not acceptable. It's not acceptable for fat loss, it's probably not acceptable for eating healthy in general. Now, that doesn't mean we can't have ice cream ever. Let's just make sure we plan we're having ice cream. Right? I'm going to have ice cream on Saturday night. I'm going to have Cold Stone, but I'm not going to have the worst thing I always choose, Cold Stone, and I'm not going to have the gotta have it. I'm going to have the like it. Is that the small one? The like it, right? So there's choices. You can make those choices. You can have whatever you want. Now, it's moderation. I want to be careful with like the obsessive idea of going through fat loss. Moderation is not the best. However, you can do all these things for health over time. But cheating, just like completely giving up on your goals and putting it on that, I don't think that's really valuable for mindset or anything else. Most important macro is protein. So no matter what, for fat loss, focus on your protein. Nothing else. Like people are like all carb diet, all vegetable, all carb, all fat diet, right? The one thing they never talk about is that there's a carnivore diet, which is I don't really big fan of that. However, like the idea is like most diets have 30% protein as their goal because they know they need that fat loss. Manipulate the other two can help with different things, but really that protein is super important. So protein is really, really important for fat loss. And then this is a fat loss tip that I don't think a lot of people know is you should actually be using salt consistently. It's just what kind of salt is it? Salt's really good for rehydration. It's really good for fat loss. It's really good for keeping your blood pressure low, which is completely opposite of what they say. Table salt is horrible for you. Sodium from processed foods, horrible for you. Salt, Aztec salt, pink Himalayan, Celtic salt, is involved in 60% of the body's processes. 60% of the processes in the body. That's a lot of stuff. That's like almost as much as water does for us. The body, water is like 90%, obviously. But 60%, that's like the second highest thing. Sodium and potassium use what's called the sodium and potassium pump, which makes every single muscle contraction happen. So you gotta have sodium. But people go on these crazy salt-free diets to reduce their blood pressure. But realistically, reduce their blood pressure, they really just need to lose some body. That's usually what comes out of your blood. So in processed foods as well. But when I'm talking about salt, you should put salt, like I put it on top of fruit, we put it inside of salads, we put it on top of eggs. But Aztec, pink Himalayan, or Celtic sea salt, really quality salts, putting that on meals throughout the day will increase your hydration levels a ton, will increase the sodium potassium pump, and it will actually help with weight loss. And I think there's a lot of myths out there. That's probably in the myth category, but I put it in the fat loss tip because I think it's really impressive on how it can change. Here's my myths. Fruits make you fat. It might be the most important carb. So I think fruits could be the most important carb for fat loss. And the reason is, so here's a conceptual side to think about. Now I'm not telling you never to eat vegetables. Please do not, this is not me saying never eat vegetables. This is just me saying quit worrying about fruits. That's really what I'm trying to say. So fruits have fiber in them, just like vegetables. Fruits have nutrients in them, just like vegetables. Fruits have sugars. That's the issue that people walk into, the sugars, right? But fruits have sugars. Sugars are amazing for many, many processes that happen inside the body. Fructose, through fruit, is an easily digestible kind of sugar that actually is utilized by the body to process. Artificial sugars are not utilized at all. They spike insulin, they decrease things. Artificial sugar is a whole different category. Corn syrup, things of that nature, dextrose, things of that nature. Those are bad for you. But we're not, so, but fruit from sugar is amazing for the body. The body needs it. So when you look at fruit and vegetables, so fruits, the body easily digests it. There's nothing in fruit that makes the body fight against it. Vegetables, vegetables have what are called phytotoxins. The funny thing is a lot of vegetables that you think are vegetables are actually fruits. So anything that hangs from a stem is technically a fruit. Anything that grows from the ground is a root or a vegetable, right? So if it's hanging from a stem, it's actually considered a fruit category. That's minutiae, I don't really care too much about that. But in terms of the idea is, so what is good is fruits are easily digestible. Vegetables have phytotoxins. Phytotoxins are really hard for the system to break down. So that's part of like the resistance fiber, right? It goes through and your body can't really break down that fiber. That's why sometimes if you eat too much vegetables, you get gas and stuff, because your body's really trying to push it through and it can't push it through. So what happens is, yeah, you have great fiber, but you don't break down the nutrients very well, and you don't absorb a lot of nutrients out of it. So having vegetables be a high percentage of your diet negatively impacts your ability to absorb micronutrients. So realistically, you should have about half vegetables and half fruits. Vegetables are really good. They do put good fiber through. They push stuff through. They're really good for fat loss in that terms. But they're not good for fat loss. You don't get a lot of micronutrients out of them. The only way to get good micronutrients out of a vegetable is to really, really cook it. So if you're cooking something, grilling it, you have to really break it down. Baking something, steaming something, you have to be so soft that you pretty much can like bend like a piece of broccoli. You can bend it all around. It's super soft. That's the only real way. You shouldn't eat raw broccoli or raw things of that nature. You should, because they're hard for the body to break down. There's no top, you don't get any nutrients from them. So that's why I like fruit more. It's a little bit easier digestible with that, okay? So don't be afraid of fruits. The only fruit that I'm going to put a little bit of caution to, because for some reason everybody goes straight to this fruit when they think about fruit, is bananas. People just go nuts like, oh, I got a fruit. I eat 6 bananas a day. Well, bananas are probably the one fruit that has very little fiber in it. The way I think about fiber is fluid, right? Especially fruit. The more juice a fruit has, the healthier it is for you. The less fruit juice that one has, not that it's unhealthy for you, but it has a little bit higher sugar content. Okay? So just think about the water content versus non-water content. Bananas have very little water in them. So one banana a day is great, but like going nuts with 3 or 4 bananas a day like my dad does, like I'm always trying to convince him no more, but like yeah, I eat fruit during the day, but you eat all bananas, that's not, you gotta eat other fruit besides that. Vegetables are the most important food group, that is a myth. They're important, but fruit is just as important as, and so is protein, right? So vegetables aren't the only thing. Protein is just as important as vegetables are too. So if you're like looking at your plate, like what do I have left to eat? You need to make sure, like if you're eating pretty good for that, you need to make sure you eat that protein. High intensity exercise is the only way to lose weight. This is a misnomer in the fitness industry. So what we do here is high intensity fitness, right? Well, we only recommend it to people 3 days a week. Which people blows our mind when they ask for a 4-time-a-week membership, and I'm like, I don't really want you to do that. I want you to focus on you came here for weight loss. I want you to focus on improving your weight loss. Just walk. Once you walk 4 times a week, you do fitness 3 days a week, and your nutrition's dialed in, let's talk about that 4th workout. Please get there first. Like you haven't done all the work yet to get to that, to earning the right to have another high intensity workout. Because we can't always be high intensity because we have to, 1, recover from that workout. And 2, we have to make sure that we can keep our cortisol levels a little bit lower. I told you fitness creates stress. Not good stress, but it is stress. Most of you guys, if you had no stress in your life, you could do tons of fitness. I honestly don't have a lot of stress in my life. I can get away with a little more fitness because I don't have kids. I don't have a lot of other responsibilities besides our business. Our business is stressful in certain ways, not as nearly as stressful I think as most industries are. So in terms of that, we don't have a lot of stress. So I can get away with a little more fitness. But most of you guys are coming from high jobs where you have a lot of stress that you aren't in control of, and we need to keep that stress level a little bit lower. So doing tons and tons of fitness is always the best. But walking, biking, swimming are really good additional things to our program. So always not doing a ton of high intensity things is great. Now it doesn't mean you can't go for like a 4-week cycle and really dial it in for high intensity, but I don't think you have to do that year round, all the time doing high intensity quality, okay? Running is great for fat loss. It's absolutely horrible for fat loss. Fat loss strictly. Long-term health, maybe okay. Horrible for fat loss. And when I'm talking about running, I'm talking about anything over 2 to 3 miles. So 3 miles or less, that is running, but it's probably not really high intensity running. It's more that longer time frame, running 3, 4, 5 miles at a time. That's when we build up a ton of inflammation in the body. Because like a 3-mile run will last, for the average person, 21 minutes. Very short amount of time. Maybe 30 minutes depending on your running pace. So not that long. Yeah, right. And some of you guys are like, what kind of running do you do? So, but maybe let's call it 30 minutes of it. So it's not that long a time frame. That's probably not really that bad for fat loss. But the longer time we get into it, we really increase our cortisol levels. And cortisol really high, and we increase a lot of inflammation. So my example would be, you look at a football player, you look at a football player as a male or a female, you look at a volleyball player maybe, they are jacked, they are ripped, they look probably how most people, I want to look at that person, they are ripped. You look at that marathon runner that's running 10 miles a day, you're like, oh my God, that person looks like they're dying. Like that's, right, they're like weak, they're small, like I don't want to look at them at all. However, we try to do the thing that the marathon running more is good. We don't want to look down. You look at a football player who, like in a 60-minute game, plays like 90 minutes. You know, working out wise, they have a maximum 45-minute workout. Like it's just funny. Like the people that are the fittest, not fit, the most muscular defined, actually do way less work because they keep their overall inflammation levels down, which helps with balance. So just a kind of a quick switch in your mindset. Intermittent fasting is great for fat loss. It's a tool, but I don't think it's really great for fat loss. It's really great for calorie reduction, because calorie reduction is great for fat loss. But really based on the studies of how intermittent fasting works, is it keeps your hormone levels a little bit low. And one of the best ways for fat loss is to keep your insulin level pretty steady. So what it does, it keeps your insulin level super low for about 16 hours a day intermittent fasting. If you guys don't know what intermittent fasting is, it's where you don't eat for 16 hours a day, you only eat 8 hours a day, right? What it does, it keeps your hormones super low. And hormones are really good for fat loss. You gotta get the fat in the system, and hormones put the fat in the system. So actually eating more like 4 or 5 meals a day is actually better because we can keep that insulin steady as long as we're using protein as one of our tools through it. So, but the idea is like it's probably not the best for fat loss. Now it's really good for calorie restriction, but calorie restriction and fat loss aren't always the same thing either, right? Because you can restrict calories and not lose fat. You can lose weight, but maybe not fat. You might lose muscle during that process. Here's a simple kind of to leave with idea, right? Everything I brought up is awesome. I think that if you guys follow the simple basic plan up there, you kind of go through, you get focused, you get dialed in, and you're consistent, you'll get amazing results. But no matter what, it comes down to you, only you, not the person sitting next to you, not your spouse, you have to do the work. Simple as is. Me and Nate, our coaching staff, are guides. We're guides. We will help you every single thing you have a problem with. We will be there to support you and give you the tools to do it. You guys are with us 3 hours a week. You have 165 hours a week outside of this, right? So realistically, on that iceberg up there, the 3 hours, fitness is about a 3-hour category. There's 165 hours underneath the water on that iceberg, right? That has to be you. You have to do it. If you want to pay me $10,000 a day, maybe I'll come hang out with you all day long or something like that. Right now, I'll do that for you. So if you want me to be there, all like Erica has, where I'm yelling at her every time she has something, can I have that? No. So outside of that, like if you want that, and you wouldn't want it, I promise you wouldn't want it. But in terms of that, like you have to do the work. Realistically. It has to be on you, only you. Because realistically, you doing the work now is you putting in the work forever. Meaning like I'm going to do the work, I'm going to build these habits, I'm going to make these things part of my life, so that like 2 years from now, when I go out to eat 2 years from now, I have all the things in place to make a good choice. Okay? You have to do the work. All right, last raise the hand for the day. Okay, so raise your hand if there's if the whole concept, not just like one thing, the whole concept that I went through is pretty new to you. Like, oh man, I didn't know all these things were true. Raise your hand if that's pretty conceptually new. Good, I was hoping nobody would raise it. There's some things maybe, but like in the long run, like I didn't put anything out there that's like, oh my God, I never knew that if I ate more vegetables or if I put in the work or I was consistent at it, I never knew that would help me out, right? You guys all knew that. So ideally with that raise the hand, like, I didn't want you to raise your hand because you should know, basically, nothing I told you is like that revolutionary. I didn't give you a secret pill besides the idea that like if you do the work, if you're consistent and you have slightly obsessive, if you actually follow through with what you say you're going to do, that's the secret sauce. But nothing new there, right? Raise your hand if you believe following a calorie deficit plus habits will make this goal achievable. So if you have deficit plus habits, will make it achievable, right? Cool. I mean, you should all raise your hand, right? It should be achievable. It wasn't too hard. Calorie deficit. Our calorie deficit that we set up for you guys, just so you know, is 500 calories a day. That's it. That's all the negative you get, 500 calories a day. 500 calories times 7 days is 3,500 calorie negative. 1 pound of fat is 3,500 calorie negative. So realistically for you, that's probably cutting out maybe a little bit of Starbucks in a day and maybe not having the bowl of ice cream before bed. Something simple. I mean, realistically, when you look at 500 calories a day, it's not that much food to cut out in a day, but it doesn't have to be just food because you are working out as well. So let's say in a GCP workout, you burn 250 calories. Well, food-wise, you only have to have then 150 calorie, right? Yeah, 150 or 250 calorie negative, 150 calorie. 250 calorie, whatever I'm trying to figure out. You only have to have that as a negative, math is not especially. But make sure you have that, you don't have to have that in food count, right? So let's say you have a 250 calorie negative from working out, then you only need a 250 calorie negative from eating, right? So realistically, it's not that hard to say, I only have to eat 250 calories less. That's one snack I usually have less in a day, and then I need to make sure I get my workout, right? So conceptually, this stuff's not hard. You just now have to do that for 12 months, 52 weeks of the year. That's the part that honestly is hard, because now all of a sudden you can't just like give up on yourself after 2 weeks. You have to choose to do it every single day. Be committed to it forever. And I don't think there's anything hard on that was like, oh my God, I cannot commit to only eating out 1 time a week forever. Maybe you'll go on a vacation, that would be hard. But overall, if you guys are eating out more than 3 times a week, you already know you probably shouldn't. I mean, there's nothing I sit up there, I'm like, oh, should you be eating out 3 times a week? All of you guys are like, probably I shouldn't, but I still do. But you probably shouldn't. That just means that you're not planning, you're not really taking care of that. So you guys, the last part of my raising hand you guys didn't do, nobody didn't raise their hand. If somebody didn't raise their hand with that, what I was going to say is if you didn't raise your hand, you didn't think this was doable. Why isn't it doable? And I think for most people, when they say it's not doable, it's the 12 months. That's the part that gets people. It's not what we're trying to do. It's the 12 months. I don't know if I can do that for 12 months. But I'm trying to be completely honest with you and just being real, is you don't get a choice not to do nutrition ever again. Right? Like, when you guys showed up here, you have weight loss goals. The people that you see that are fit or healthy, or maybe what you want to look like, or you imagine looking like, if you go out and see how they eat and the lifestyle they live, it's exactly what I just taught you how to do. They live the lifestyle. A very good example would be Nate and Dina's lifestyle. Dina food preps once a week, every week religiously. You cannot enter into her food prep time. Like, she won't give that time up. She food preps every single week. Nate's a super fit guy. He works out multiple times a week. He does those kind of things, right? My fiance here does a great job. She meal plans. The people that I kind of see as pillars of people that have really good health, they slightly obsess about this in a certain way. I don't think any of them are really overly obsessive. They just make sure that they follow their keystone habits all the damn time. They don't deviate from those. And I think it's kind of unrealistic for people to think, I'm going to achieve this goal, and once I get there, I don't have to do it anymore. I'm sorry, that's just not real. We have to do this forever. Doesn't mean you have to be perfect. We never talked about perfection, any of that. We went 12 months and didn't do a single thing perfect. We just slowly started adding things together. When we start stacking those habits on top of each other, we're throwing stuff on that fire. That fire's burning, and it's burning, and it's burning. All of a sudden, that thing's stoked. It's really high. But I can't all of a sudden not keep putting wood on it, because if you don't put wood on a fire after so long, it eventually dwindles out. So those habits aren't the wood you're throwing on. You got to keep those habits going always. Last thing I want to talk about is just kind of like our little speech for the day, or the pitch for the day, like game-changing nutrition coaching program. So that's our one-on-one nutrition program. This is our kickoff day. Meaning, like, we have a bunch of people in the program currently. We're really kicking it off in terms of like letting everybody kind of know about it, or we're going to let people know we haven't told everybody about it. We do have a game-changing nutrition program. It's one-on-one where you work with me or Nate, or eventually one of our coaches, Desiree, is going through the training right now, and eventually Desiree will be a nutrition coach for us as well. Currently, what we do is we help you create a plan creation, pretty much what I laid out that 12-month thing. We help you see where you're at on that plan. We help you figure out what the lowest hanging fruit is. What is the thing that you might struggle with the most that you don't even realize that we can help put things in place to fix, right? We deliver the knowledge to help you achieve it. We're not doing the work for you. I'm sorry, that's not what this program is. We are just delivering you how to achieve it and keep helping you. When you struggle, what's the next thing to do? So like one person I'm working with, she has been doing awesome with everything, and now we're working on her sleep. We're past nutrition, she's doing great on sleep. Now we're working on her sleep a little bit. So I had to go through and help her audit why she wasn't getting sleep on time. And it's because of Instagram, right? She was on Instagram too late. So like we started setting up alarms on her phone, things. We just started to help her give ways to start to conquer whatever her weaknesses are. And then I hold her accountable as the week goes along to that. We have an app and stuff we follow along. The part that is, we have some testimonials from the people I've been working with the last few months, and we have some testimonials up here and things like that. Is the big thing is most people, what they really love is accountability. Because they can't hold themselves accountable to themselves. I wish we could. I wish we all could just say, hey, if I tell my mind I'm going to do it, but that's just not normal. We're really good at holding ourselves accountable to other people. We're horrible at holding ourselves accountable to ourselves. So that's what that program is. We're here to be the person that says, like, you did great this job, here's your bright spots, you did really awesome these things, but you need to get better here, and I'm going to make sure that you get better here. I'm not going to let you slack just because you want to slack. Like, I have one of my people going on vacation next week. That's okay, you're going on vacation. These certain things we're going to do for food, and you're going to walk every single day for 30 minutes every single day. That's a non-negotiable. It's non-negotiable on vacation. It's like, well, we're going to be on the beach, great, walk down the beach. You have to create these non-negotiables even when you're doing other things, because 1 week of vacation will completely obliterate an entire month of work. So we have to make sure it's safe. So that's one thing. So our today's offers, me and Nate have 4 spots left with me and him coaching. Desiree will have more spots, but that's a little ways away before she's become capable of coaching. So me and Nate are left only 4 spots left because we're pretty busy. If you're a member of GCP, you commit for 3 months, it's $99 extra on top of your training program. It's normally $199 for GCP clients. And then non-members, 3 months at $199, that's normally you have to commit for 6 months instead of 3 months. So those kind of things, if you want to talk to me after that, talk to me and Nate after that about that. Only thing I'd mention, if you think about a week from now, just let us know that you're at the seminar and that we talked about that. Please, this is only for you guys. Like, if you want, other members outside the gym are more welcome to do this, but they didn't come to this event, so they don't get that pricing. So these prices are just for you guys that came to the event. So if anybody didn't come today, they have to pay $199 upfront for that. That's it. This last slide. Yeah. So that's kind of the 40 pounds of fat loss in a year, guys. I wanted to make sure when I made this seminar, I didn't want this to be one of those like, oh my God, I walk into this and Trevor's going to give me that secret sauce. I don't have the secret sauce for 40 pounds of gym. Like, I just don't have it. But at the same time, like, I wanted you guys to know that, like, this isn't that hard to do, but it is that hard to do. Okay? Meaning, like, conceptually, there's nothing I brought up. But can you do it for consistently a long enough period of time to achieve great results? And that's what you have to find your term. That's when you need to go back to your why, figure out your self-awareness, what your weaknesses are, and then start to figure out what discipline looks like for you. Okay? All right, guys, you got any questions for me? Anything you want to go? Betsy?
So Trevor, when you talked about the calorie deficit, so that calorie number we got here from the calculator already accounts for that $500. It does it already account for the workouts because we put in the light exercise?
Yeah.
But this is the number. We don't have to do anything.
Correct. All I need you to do is that number kind of calculates for that walking in the day, the calorie deficit of food. So all you need to do is, like, if you're tracking inside of MyFitnessPal, aim for that number and don't deviate. So what I always tell people with that number is it's plus or minus 200 calories on either side because of how MyFitnessPal tracks. But you want to be as close to as you can get away with it. Like, sometimes you'll hit your macros perfect and you'll be like plus 100 calories. If I hit my macros perfect, it's because not everything, it's a tracking software and they don't, right? Not everything's perfect, but plus or minus 200 calories on either side. And we can dial that more in a little bit closer to 100 calories if we get really focused on that. But yeah, it's got all that calculated into it.
When the numbers shift, should you make an adjustment, let's say maybe every few months or something?
On the calorie deficit? Yeah. So yes and no. It really depends on if your muscle mass goes up. So if your calories go down, so if your body, your weight goes down, but your muscle mass doesn't increase, I would probably just keep the calories right where it's at. Oh, sorry, opposite, sorry. If your muscle mass increases, I'd keep the calories right where it's at. If your muscle mass doesn't increase and you're just losing body fat, which is okay too, we do need to bring those calories down because you're not burning as many calories now. But if you add muscle mass back in, you're actually burning more calories for every pound of muscle mass you burn 96 extra calories. So you actually can get away with eating more food at a lighter weight because of that. So yeah, if your muscle mass goes up, we'll kind of keep it the same, but if your muscle mass drops down, or muscle mass stays the same, it should never drop down. Your muscle mass shouldn't go down. If it goes down, then we have way too low of a calorie deficit or you're not hitting your protein levels. But yeah, then you would drop it. So we kind of depend on that. So that's something we can talk about when a couple months from now you lose some weight and just show me that number and we can discuss it. But yeah, you do want to make slight adjustments on that, but if you're working out here, you should be gaining muscle, so we should be okay. Realistically, the number that I gave you should be good for at least 20 pounds of fat loss. My mindset, 20 pounds should be good because you should be in our gym gaining muscle at the same time, so you should be good at that. After about 20 pounds, you probably do need to make an adjustment at that point. It doesn't need a drastic adjustment, but probably does need to be a little bit of adjustment. Good questions, guys. Any other questions? Awesome, guys. You want to push pause and stop on that?